You are watching TFI.
Greetings, salutations, welcome to TFI, where we are continuing with our interviews with class speakers from Autodesk University 2019, as we are commemorating Autodesk Inventor's 20th birthday with a special class track that Autodesk are putting on this year. And to mark that, we're interviewing a few of the speakers that are hosting classes at Autodesk University in Vegas in November. And today we have Thom Tremblay from Concepts and Design. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
Hello, and your class is Better Machine Design with Autodesk Inventor Design Accelerators. And a little bit more about your class later on. But for anyone who's watching this and you're thinking, why are you here? What we're doing, Neil, what's this all about? Well, first purpose of this series of videos is to let you know that if you are heading out over to Autodesk University in Vegas, just to let you know that Tom's class is on. And if you're thinking, I've heard about these design accelerators, I've heard that they're good, but I've no idea what they are. Well, then Tom's class should be telling you everything that, well, not everything that you need to know, but giving you a pretty good idea as to what design accelerators are and what they can do for you. And as well as that, if you're not heading out over to Vegas, if you weren't fortunate enough to get a flight out there and a ticket, there's a chance, we're not entirely sure yet what class is being recorded or is or not, but if you can check the Autodesk University website after AU's over and done with, a lot of the classes do get recorded and published up to the AU website afterwards with all the class handouts and files that were used during the class. So you can still check out the class after the fact, but it doesn't beat actually being there though. But it's the next best thing. So yes, Thom Tremblay from Concepts and Design. Your class is MFG321419-L for anyone with the Autodesk University app and you want to look that up. I've been loving these code names. The class is Better Machine Design with Autodesk Inventor Design Accelerators. And your class is on the Thursday, or the lab, I should say, is on the Thursday, November 21st, 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. So, a bit about Tom. Tom hails from Texas. Is that I've been stalking everyone's LinkedIn, and some people's is out of date, so I'm now having to verify that this information is accurate. So, you're from Texas, former Autodesker of 14 years, mate. And then roughly 5 years ago went on to launch his company called Concepts and Design, which by the looks of it has far too many fingers in too many pies for me to explain. So how about, Tommy, tell us what Concepts and Design is all about and what you do.
Well, what we're doing is a lot of content creation for learning content, training, Autodesk Inventor, AutoCAD Electrical, Fusion 360. In fact, I'll be teaching all three of those in consecutive weeks here this month. So keeping things a nice variety. Also helping commercial interests get better equipped, really properly implementing the software they already own from Autodesk. And from time to time, if we get lucky, getting to do a little bit of mechanical design as well, helping solve real problems. So that's always fun.
So who's your end user? Is it more schools and colleges, or do you go into industry?
It's primarily industry. We've done some targeted campaigns and really trying to reach out to the schools, especially secondary schools where the STEM programs are. Over my years with Autodesk and the education team, as well as since, really see a great opportunity for teachers in those STEM programs to get better equipped to handle questions from the students, to better understand how these tools are in industry. So we're trying to do that outreach now. So if anybody knows a STEM teacher and thinks they need some training, just give us a shout.
Your business model sounds remarkably similar to what a reseller does. Are you guys actually an official Autodesk value-added reseller, or do you operate in a different kind of sector?
No, we're not a value-added reseller. We work under the Autodesk Training Center program. We're an ATC.
Okay.
We're also an authorized academic partner, which is an AP, a subset of that. So we actually have right now, the instructors we have 3 Autodesk certified instructors at the gold level. There are only, I think there's less than 50 gold level certified instructors in the world, and we have 3 of them.
So 14 years at Autodesk, that is quite the marathon, mate. And I noticed that you started there around 2000, which that was in amongst the era, or the golden era of 3D design taking off. And not long after that, all the likes of the Vault product line came online. There was a lot of products kind of all spinning up all at once. Well, looking back, it seemed like all at once, all at the same time, or within a relatively short space of time. I can't even imagine what it was like because it was also in the dawn of the internet as well, and the dot-com bubble bursting, all of this sort of happening at the same time. I don't think we'll ever see a time like that again from this point onwards. Can you remember what it was like being within Autodesk at the heart of that, whilst all of that was going on, all these products spinning up, everything's new products coming to market? Can you remember what that was like? Did it feel chaotic and hectic, or was it pretty managed and exciting?
It was pretty chaotic in a different way, though, but it was a lot of fun. I had come out of the channel, and before that, the real world, as a mechanical desktop user. And so had a lot of familiarity with that. Inventor was still getting its legs under it, had tremendous promise. And we saw that could be competitive. Honestly, one of the most difficult things we had to do was try to get the mechanical desktop user to move over to Inventor. Because, people like to slight desktop, but it was an incredibly powerful tool. With bringing Vault in, that woke us up to, wow, we can extend well beyond the typical person we're working with. Then the acquisitions of the tools that became AutoCAD Mechanical, the tools that became AutoCAD Electrical, and then the rapid enhancement of Inventor. It was a really exciting time. It was great fun for me because I'm always someone who's liked meeting, getting to understand more about what different people do in different industries. So it was great fun for me because I got to talk to all sorts of people and try to figure out what it was that made the work of the controls designer challenging, and get to understand what the tools could do to address that. Blend that in with the more mechanically oriented elements of it. And then over time, to sit back and watch it all kind of grow together and the interoperability. But in the early days, it was a little tough to see where things were going, but you knew it was in a positive direction and it was going to be a lot of fun. And ultimately for me, this has always been kind of a thing, is I've always felt every day like I could really help someone's day be better because these tools were going to do things for them that they weren't able to do. Because of course, at that time, there were still a lot of people doing this work, even large scale and mechanical design work in just 2D, just base AutoCAD. And so that was always great fun because I started in AutoCAD in 1986. So I always tell people I'm allowed to say anything I want about AutoCAD because I lived through that. But the reality is, once people saw how productive their 2D output, which is what their required legal documents were, from the 3D system, once they saw that, it changed everything.
Yeah.
So those were really exciting times.
Yeah, I remember. They were golden days. I remember I was in the channel around 2005, 2008, roughly that sort of time, where we were getting people off AutoCAD and onto Inventor. And so many product demos, so many visits to customers with the old projector in a desktop under your arm and showing people 3D for the first time and just watching their reaction to stuff in 3D and having an instant parts list. It was absolutely brilliant. And you're right as well, the development of Inventor back then was pretty explosive. Nowadays it still gets a lot of development. They're putting a lot of hard work in, but it's more just minor evolutionary tweaks and evolvements of what's already there. But back in 2000, I don't know, maybe 2007, 2008, next release frame generator, next release dynamic simulation, next release Inventor Studio, massive modules just dropping left, right, and center. It were great days. But I also noticed on your LinkedIn, mate, you also dabble in life as a sound engineer.
Yeah.
So what is it that you do there, and is that like more of a passion project / hobby, or is that actually like a legit second job?
It depends on how well everything else is going business-wise.
Right.
No, I had an opportunity to do that full-time years ago and stuck with the design and engineering thing, but I still do it as a hobby. For some time, did both. I was playing in bands and mixing, and now with as busy as I am, I just try and sneak out of the house to go make someone loud for a few hours.
So do you work with any like household artists or household name artists, or is it mostly just local bands and acts that you work with?
Nowadays it's local bands. It used to be a lot of festival work with up and coming country at that time. So Trisha Yearwood, Tim McGraw, John Michael Montgomery, Colin Ray, acts like that, and old rock and roll. Those were the best. Everybody from Guess Who to the original Crickets, a a group of guys that were called Classic Rock All-Stars, members of Sugarloaf, Blues Image, and I'm going to blank, Pete Rivera from Rare Earth, the original singer for Rare Earth, working with those people because they were people that had already been, I worked with 3 different people that played at Woodstock over the years, you know. So those were people that were out having a good time. They didn't care. I mean, they were so much fun to work with and just to hang out with and hear their stories because, you know, you'd hear them talking about Bill or something, and 10 minutes in the conversation, you realize it's like, wait, that guy's, you know, that guy, you know. So it's neat to hear him speaking so casually and about people that you've grown up listening to and at the same time getting to hang out. First major act I ever did. I'm standing on the stage, 3rd song in, I've got thumbs up from everybody on stage. And then the band, it was the band America, and they light into I Need You, the keyboard intro, and Elsa just like, wait, this is America. I grew up listening to these guys. So it was just a riot. It was just a lot of fun.
I didn't recognize any of those bands and acts, mate, way before my time. Anyway, on to your class, mate. Right, so your class is MFG321419-L. So it's a lab more than a class. This is it's like a hands-on session where the attendees get to sit at terminals and have a little bit play with the software, get a bit of almost classroom-style tuition in a way over the course of that session. And it is Better Machine Design with Autodesk Inventor Design Accelerators, Thursday, 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Actually, that's an hour and a half, that, isn't it, mate? It's a decent amount of time. Learning objectives of this class are produce machine components using the load requirements to establish what geometry will work. Place clearance holes through components after calculating the fasteners required to hold the assembly together. Choose a standard belt size and position pulleys based on power handling requirements and creating meshing gears based on the loads without having to draw the gear features. So, design accelerators, mate. Possibly one of the most powerful yet widely underused and lesser known features of Autodesk Inventor. Is that fairly consistent with your experience of them as you've been out and about having conversations with people?
Absolutely. All the time I'm introducing it to people who've been using Inventor for years. In fact, years ago, I was doing a user group meeting. Design accelerators have been in the product a couple of years, and I introduced, it was supposed to be a what's new, and I can't remember if it was 11 or 12 of Inventor. So I included them in a what's new, since I had the opportunity to be in front of a group of people, and they were all just blown away. Oh, I can't wait to get that. It's like, by the way, you've had this for at least 2 years. It's a shame because I still see people punching holes in parts and then lining up all those holes and all those parts before they drop a bolt in from the content center, and all that's great. But you also skip the calculator element of it, which I'm trying to keep in all of the objectives. So design accelerators are calculators or generators, and generators typically also have the calculation capability. So it's really putting the horse back before the cart to me. Is, will this work? Is this the right size bolt? Is this enough bolts? Putting that before what size bolt? You know, it's something that people have gotten so conditioned away from doing that it's just there. And then, of course, just the whole idea of just using those standards, those manufactured standards that have been there forever and a day, haven't changed in decades, and just using them for what they're best for, and then not having to draw a bunch of stuff. So yeah. It's really great fun. But yes, a very, very small number of Inventor users, even fairly strong Inventor users, are really aware of what the design accelerators are capable of.
I think, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think Autodesk possibly have to take some of the responsibility for that, because in the way the user interface is laid out at the moment, it's very context driven. You know, you jump into a drawer and the ribbon tabs change to whatever it is, the toolbar that you need. And obviously the design accelerators, there's no reference to them anywhere in the product other than this design tab in the assembly environment that you have to physically know that it's there and then go and access it. Outside of that, I don't recall seeing any reference to them anywhere. So I think Autodesk possibly could do people a favor, maybe, you know, do them a solid and give some kind of indication. Oh, it looks like you're drawing a gear. It looks like you're doing some industrial machinery. Or did you know, like a tooltip that pops up to say, we've got these tools up here, perhaps you want to take a look at them. So
they really need the paperclip from Windows 95.
Yeah,
The third time you drag a bolt in from Content Center, it's like, time out, whoa, hey, wait, did you know?
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Inventor is an incredibly big product. I've been working on a lot of certification things for people, helping people get ready for certification for Inventor. And one of the biggest challenges for people is that it's such a broad tool. Most people never use more than maybe a quarter or a third of the tools that are in Inventor. It's just not needed for what they do. If you do sheet metal stuff, you're probably not doing a whole lot of freeform modeling. Really tough to bend those on a brake press. It's just the nature of it. But yeah, it would be nice if on the modeling tool there was like maybe even just put the bolted connection tool. Just start there, just kind of like, hey, try this kit. But just something, to let people know that there's this whole other universe of standards-based design.
Yeah. So who's your class aimed at? Could beginners take the learning away and apply it, or is it more put together towards an audience of more experienced users?
No, it's definitely for beginners. Experienced users, anyone's welcome. I'd really love to see an audience of people who are just getting used to using Inventor or even 3D in general, so they haven't developed that muscle memory of just simply going to Content Center and using the whole feature and all that. Also, some CAD administrators or department managers, engineering managers, who are looking for a quick way to get some productivity gains in their department. Even a good, strong workflow working outside of the design accelerators for anybody doing really heavy machine design, anything that's chain-driven, belt-driven, gear-driven, bolted together. I know those bolt things are all new and everything, and people are just getting used to them. But lots of stuff is bolted together, so people can find some real productivity gains by taking advantage of the design accelerators. From
my point of view, I mean, I don't. This is just a little bit of what my perception's been. I think one of the main issues with the design accelerators is they do look quite intimidating if you're just sort of spamming through the buttons and you click. It does gears. You click it and there's this big palette of diagrams and dimensions all over the place. And it's quite difficult to kind of wrap your head around that and even try and find the time to think, I don't know what that does. It looks useful, but I don't know where to begin. So how do you approach the conversation with someone to convince them that these design accelerators are actually worth investing the time in?
Yeah. And when you have an opportunity to sit one-on-one with people, it's much easier because you can start asking them about something they've recently done. And they'll remember, I had, this ratio, this module, this form, and then you can just walk them through what elements you actually don't have to care about in the dialogue. Because in the dialogue, there's, depending on the condition, there could be several whole sections that you don't have to touch. In a group setting, you just kind of, it's like any productivity shift, kind of like just show them the fundamentals, show them what else is possible, and let them deal with the heavy exploration and the digging and the weeds. Let them know there's help. The help system of design accelerators is hidden along with the design accelerators, but once you get into them, you can go find some additional resources. There's elements there. But usually, if you just show people that you can simplify the process, they can, they have real jobs, they have real tasks. They can pretty much follow the really deep, fine detail themselves pretty well.
It's from the learning objectives. It sounds like you've got plans to cover quite a wide variety of the design accelerators, because there is quite a few of them, and I think you're trying your best within the hour and a half that you've got to cover quite a fair few of them. How are you planning on approaching this? Are you going to be working with real use case demonstration, or is it going to be like we're going to get right into the weeds of it, or is it just more of a higher level style lab that you're going for?
Yeah, we're going to start out with a partially complete assembly and flesh it out. And we won't be doing everything. For example, when we start dealing with the gears, we won't be doing every gear in the assembly. Probably the plan is to show developing a standalone gear and to show a shaft that was created using the shaft generator. and have it add gear teeth as a feature, because that's one of the options within the design accelerator is you can either create a standalone gear or just augment a portion of the shaft to be a gear. And so it will be hands-on developing in part a machine. We'll also have kind of start files for each stage. So we're not having to do everything. But another thing that's nice about design accelerators, like many of the modeling tools in Inventor or sketching tools, is once you kind of get the feel for the dialogue, so like you said, can be a bit daunting. But once you get a feel for the parts that you really don't have to look at very often and the parts that are really critical, it should be pretty easy for them to pick up the other features.
Possibly a difficult one to answer, but is there because there's a lot of design accelerators, but is there one particular design accelerator that stood up above all of the other ones that has a wider application across the broader Inventor user base as being something that could benefit the most people? And if someone is looking to invest a bit of time into design accelerators, that should be the one that they should start with, possibly?
Yeah, probably bolted connection is the easiest one. Unless you're using adhesives or welding everything together, there's a decent chance you're using a bolt somewhere or a screw or some holes. That one seems pretty universal. It's also pretty much something that people can get into fairly easy. Because it's got a massive library of different fasteners, but we always use socketed cap screws. We always use X-head bolts. So I'll just go find one of those and see what it does. And once you show people little things like, oh, it builds in the clearance holes for you automatically. Well, that's pretty nice. I don't even have to look it up on the chart. That's slick. I like that.
Yeah.
And of course, clearance holes are in the whole feature, but wait, I don't have to look up the clearance hole for that part and then make sure the line's in that part and then put a blind tapped hole in that part, then go put the bolt. It's all at once. And like I said, we can get into the calculator, we find out whether or not that M6 is even the bolt you should be using. But bolted connection is probably the one that reaches the largest number of people the most easy.
Awesome. Do you know if it's compatible with Volt? Anyone out there who's possibly using a Volt system, they're thinking, I'm not sure if I can start using files that aren't in my Volt. Is that something that it's tried and tested with? Yeah.
Oh yeah. People have been using with Volt for years. The key is, managing where your Volt locates consumed components. It's really, because once it's brought in, once it's gone through the accelerator process, it's just a component in the assembly.
Do you have anything else that you've got going on over at AU? So obviously we've got this class, which is on the Thursday. Have you got your feet up for the rest of AU, or have you got a busy schedule over there?
No, well, I've got a full schedule, but I'm only teaching one other class. I took a few years off. Used to be I would teach 3, a couple of years I taught 5 classes, but that was nuts. Don't do that.
No.
But I do have a second class. This one's on Fusion 360. It's actually, what's fun to me is it's one of my other favorite secret workflows inside of Inventor is using Derive components, Derive sketches, Derive assemblies, Derive. You can do so much with Derive. Well, Derive was kind of quietly slipped into Fusion 360 about a year ago. And I taught at the Fusion 360 Academy in Portland this summer, well after I submitted the class, but did a little very informal research and discovered that, most, even strong Fusion users don't have any idea what Derive is. So that will be the other course, taking a look at a few use cases, things like castings and sharing sketches across multiple components. Casting workflow is one that resonates really strongly with people that make machine versions of castings. Something I used to do back when I had a real job was trying to manage, I remember one casting that we had 74 different machinings off the same casting. And then, so when you went to go change the casting, you had a lot of checking to do to make sure you weren't screwing something else up. But Derive is a phenomenal tool, both in Inventor and Fusion. The adoptions are a little bit different, but still a lot of productivity to be had. But other than that, I'll just be, one of the lucky attendees getting to hang out, listen to smart people talk, and show me all sorts of cool things and make me go, sure. I started using that tool back when it was in beta, but I didn't know that. That's
So did you ever go to AU as an Autodesker, or was?
yeah. From I taught from 2001 to 2014, or AU 2013, every year. 2000, I helped with a main stage presentation, but didn't have a class.
Right.
And then I went to One Design World as a AE manager once before AU started.
So is there any classes that are going on over at AU that you're going to try and attend, or anything that you've seen that's of particular interest to you whilst you're over there?
Oh, sure. I'd have to go back and take a look at my schedule, but the biggest problem I had was I know at least 2 different occasions, 3 classes I really wanted to go to were happening at the exact same time.
Yeah, I had that problem as well. Yeah.
And my number one class I desired to attend is happening at the same time as my Fusion Drive class.
Bummer.
Well, I'll be watching AU online.
yeah, that's the thing. You can catch them afterwards anyway. So,
yeah.
Right. That's all my questions. Tom, is there anything else that you wanted to add at the end? Or
people aren't able to come to AU Las Vegas or any of the other AUs, take advantage of AU online. It's incredible. Over the last, this would be my 19th or 20th AU. Over the years, it's been amazing to sit through these classes, being an expert on a tool, and have someone show that 1 or 2 things that make you rethink everything. Just people develop amazing uses for the technology, and check out AU online. It's a free resource and a phenomenal resource. It's not just someone like me sitting in their in their cave of an office chunking out videos. These are the best of the best. Great opportunity for people.
Yeah, I said this in I think the first ever, or the introduction to this series, that sometimes at AU, in fact probably more often than I realised, this information that comes out of AU classes that you can't find anywhere else. And the example that I used was a class delivered by one of the Vault product managers who showed how it was possible and supported to run a Vault service in Azure or Amazon Web Services, whereas previously to that information isn't anywhere else, anywhere.
I'd never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's possible to do. You can run a Vault in the cloud. So it's not really, well, I suppose it is obscure because you'll only find it on the Autodesk University website, but it's a class from I think AU 2014. And that's it. That's the only place that bit of information is held, or it was around that time anyway. So, yeah. AU online. It's just a hive of information. If you're not fortunate enough to be able to get out and over there, then yeah, check that out definitely.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks very much for your time, Tom. That was brilliant. So Tom's class is MFG321419 Better Machine Design with Autodesk Inventor Design Accelerators. Don't forget this is a hands-on lab, so you actually get to sit at a terminal in a classroom-style environment to do a bit of learning hands-on. So if you're over there, go and check that out if there's any spaces left. And yeah, Tom, I'll see you over in Vegas as well. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers.